It's a case ripped from the tabloids. Millionaire Stephen Beard is shot in his own bed. 4 months later, he's dead. Ballistics lead police straight to the killer. Family friend, Tracy Tarlton. Then, in a bizarre twist, Tracy points the finger at Beard's much younger wife, Celeste, claiming the two were lesbian lovers and that Celeste told her to do it. Was this senseless murder her idea? Or is she an innocent woman failed by the justice system? What is the truth? There's only one way to find out. From her prison in Texas, Celeste Beard Johnson is about to tell me herself. I'm Candice DeLong. As an FBI agent, I worked on the front line for the world's most powerful law enforcement agency. I went undercover, I trailed terrorists, and I interviewed notorious killers. It's my job to understand the people who others cannot comprehend. (1999), an opulent suburb of Austin, Texas. 74-year-old Stephen Beard is alone in his marital bed. He jolts awake. He has no idea what's wrong. Then he reaches down. There's a gaping hole in his stomach. He calls 911.
Ambulance location of emergency.
I need an ambulance, hurry.
What is going on there?
My gut just jumped out of my stomach. They blew out. Yeah, they blew out of my stomach.
When police and emergency services arrive, they find Stephen has been shot and his 36-year-old wife is sleeping in a separate bedroom. I've attended far too many crime scenes, and I can tell you this: if a man has been shot and his wife is sleeping in a separate bedroom, my suspicions are aroused. This is no open and shut case. It's a bizarre tale of sex, lies, money, and murder. As I drive to meet with Celeste, there is one haunting question on my mind. Why would she want her husband dead? According to court testimony from numerous sources, Celeste and the killer turn out to be more than just friends. They were lovers. Was this a case of unrequited love or something far more sinister? Celeste had it all: a wealthy husband who loved her, 2 daughters, and the money to buy whatever her heart desired. Yet somehow, she ended up here, Mountain View Unit, Texas. It's her home for the next 30 years. Now it's time for Celeste to tell me her version of the story.
How did you get here? Let's go way back when you were a little girl. What was your childhood like?
It was it's pretty dysfunctional. It was chaotic. Oftentimes there wasn't even any food. It was scary because we were alone all the time.
At the tender age of 17, Celeste marries for the first time. But it's a shotgun wedding. 3 months later, she gives birth to twin girls.
I did not discipline them at all. I thought that for them to know that I loved them, I had to give them whatever they wanted.
It's interesting to hear Celeste say she spoiled her children. I wonder what other decisions in Celeste's life were motivated by her devotion to her kids. By age 32, Celeste has been married and divorced 3 times. What was she looking for? Let's talk about Steve. How did you meet?
Well, I was working at the country club. I was the only waitress that would serve his table.
A few months after Celeste meets Stephen, his wife of 42 years dies of cancer. When we return, Celeste wastes no time lining up husband number 4.
Then what happened with you and Steve?
About 10 days after she died, I ended up moving in with Stephen.
At age 32, Celeste Beard Johnson is a struggling single mother working at the Austin Country Club. It's here that she meets wealthy TV executive Stephen Beard, who loses his wife to cancer.
About 10 days after she died, I ended up moving in with Stephen.
That's pretty fast. What was the reason for that?
Because we were a couple.
One article I read said that you were hired to be a housekeeper.
Yes.
But that's not what you're saying.
No. My attorney said that he told his friend that because he was embarrassed.
Oh, okay.
It's easy to see why Stephen might want a companion. But why is Celeste drawn to a much older man?
Steve was quite a bit older than you.
He was 40 years older. Since I was 18, I had always dated older men. Just the sex thing, you know, because...
What do you mean, the sex thing? I don't know.
It just wasn't, you know, it wasn't like expected, you know.
So there wasn't the sexual pressure with older men that there was with younger men?
Yes.
And that was okay with you?
Yes.
Celeste's father walked out on her when she was 14 years old. It's only natural that she would look for a father figure in her relationships. And there was something else attracting her to Stephen. Celeste is having a bitter custody battle with the father of her twins, and Stephen offers an easy solution.
That was why Stephen persuaded me to move in with him. He promised me that he would get my daughter back.
Were you in love?
Not at first.
I find this fascinating. Celeste is so desperate to make up for being a bad mother that she moves in with a man she barely knows and doesn't love, just to give her daughters a better life.
We had a deal.
What was the deal?
That, you know, I'm his. I let him have my hair cut off. I did everything that he wanted me to do. And I was going to keep my end of the bargain because I wanted my daughter back.
It's odd that Celeste was treating her marriage like a business proposition with deals like this. Was she doing it for the sake of her children, or did she really want the money and the lifestyle that went with it?
We made another deal for the wedding. He was going to adopt the twins.
It's a big deal for a man to adopt 2 children. It's a big deal for the kids, too. So how old were they in 1998?
2 months before they turned 18.
17 years old and 10 months. Basically 2 months from being emancipated. Why do you think he did that?
I don't want to say forced, but I did. I forced him to do that.
What was the reason for that?
Because I wanted my daughters to inherit with Stephen's other 3 children.
For someone so concerned with her children's inheritance, she had no problem dipping into it. With more money than she knew what to do with, Celeste starts spending extravagantly on shoes, clothes, and vacations. At one point, she spends $500,000 in 6 months.
Let's talk about the spending. For some people, that momentary little rush of buying something diverts their psychic pain, depression, and it can become, seeking that feeling over and over, can become habitual.
Oh, I was habitual. The way I spent money wasn't that big of a deal to Stephen, like everybody thinks it was. Our trip from Germany to London was $60,000, and that was just for the limousine. Stephen was extravagant himself.
Okay. All right. Of course it was his money.
Yes.
But eventually, Stephen does become concerned with Celeste's spending. When he says he's going to take away her credit cards, it threatens Celeste's very self-esteem, and she soon becomes suicidal. She commits herself to a psychiatric hospital. It's a fatal move. Waiting there is an unstable patient looking for love. It's Tracy Tarlton, Stephen Beard's killer.
So Tracy's lesbian, and she became interested in you.
Yes. She said I asked her to shoot Stephen.
After becoming suicidal, Celeste Beard Johnson admits herself to a psychiatric unit. It is here she meets 42-year-old Tracy Tarlton. According to court testimony from friends and Celeste's own daughters, Tracy and Celeste were lovers. Witnesses had seen them kissing passionately. They sent each other love letters and even went to couples counseling. But Celeste denies all of that.
Things got out of hand, and I broke the friendship off with her.
Things got out of hand. What does that mean? What happened?
She became really obsessed with me.
What was she doing that told you she was obsessed with you?
Just calling all the time. She was acting like a boyfriend that, you know, you were trying to break off with.
Tracy had problems. She had
Yes.
emotional problems. Okay. Well, you met her in a psychiatric facility.
Celeste insists it was not a lesbian relationship and that she turned down any sexual advances.
I rebuked her.
You rebuked her when?
The last time that I had any dealings with her was on the girls' graduation party. It was August 28th.
Of 99?
99. She came in and tried to kiss me when I was passed out, and on her way home, she was arrested.
Oh, driving while intoxicated or
Yes.
something? Okay.
And Tracy was calling from the jail to our house, and Stephen told me when I got home to get her out of jail and get her out of our life.
Celeste bails out Tracy and says she has a fateful conversation.
All the way home, instead of saying, you know, I'm sick of you and I'm not a lesbian, instead of taking responsibility, I blamed it all on Stephen.
Can you see how somebody that was obsessed with you might have a problem with basically, you're not saying I don't want you, you're saying my husband doesn't want you?
Yes, because I was a coward. And I mean, I see it now. I mean, in hindsight, I see, you know, my whole life, how I lived it wrong. But
Celeste isn't giving away too much here. Perhaps she won't be more open with me out of fear of what she might reveal.
You tell Tracy Stephen doesn't want her in your life, then what happened?
she's still calling. She's still doing her crazy behavior.
At 3 a.m. on October 2nd, 1999, Tracy Tarlton makes her way into Stephen Beard's bedroom. and shoots him in the abdomen while he's sleeping.
You were there down the hall.
No, I was in another wing of the house.
Okay.
But when I found out that Stephen had been shot, I couldn't concentrate on who shot him or anything like that.
But Tracy has left incriminating evidence at the scene, a shotgun casing that leads police directly to her. She's arrested and staring at a murder charge until she makes a startling claim.
2 years after Tracy was arrested, she finally says something to the detectives and prosecutors she'd never said before. What was it?
She said I asked her to shoot Stephen.
Coming up, did Celeste order her husband's murder? And did she also have someone else in her sights?
Did you try to have Tracy killed?
In Austin, Texas, millionaire Stephen Beard has just been shot as he slept. Police trace the shell casing found at the scene of the crime to Tracy Tarlton, the alleged lesbian lover of Celeste Beard Johnson. Stephen lingers on for 4 agonizing months before he dies, and Tracy is charged with his murder. Tracy is facing life in prison and remains silent until one day an article in the paper catches her eye.
She found out that I had remarried again.
And after she finds out you'd remarried, then she starts telling prosecutors you put her up to it.
Yes.
Celeste has always denied the allegation, but police and a jury believe Tracy's story, and Celeste is found guilty of Stephen's murder. She is sentenced to life. During the trial, Celeste's 2 daughters turn against her, saying they believe their mother is involved in the murder.
Do you still see the girls?
No.
Have you seen them since then?
No.
That's a lot to deal with.
Well, at first, I had a lot of anger because of the way they betrayed me.
Another startling revelation comes a month after Stephen dies. A friend alleges Celeste paid her over $12,000 to have Tracy Tarlton killed.
Did you try to have Tracy killed?
No.
Did you tell anyone that you hired someone to kill Tracy?
No.
She had a
Anyway,
lot of details and stories about the things you talked about and money that you supposedly gave her to pay a hitman to kill.
yeah, $500. I mean, come on.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, the amount of money that I spent, that was just pocket change.
Well, regardless of the amount that you gave her money to have Tracy killed.
Which is not true.
But a jury doesn't believe Celeste. She is found guilty of criminal solicitation of capital murder and has another 5 years added to her sentence. In return for testifying against Celeste, Tracy Tarlton reduces her sentence and is paroled on August 18, 2011, after serving only 10 years. Celeste, however, isn't even due for parole until 2043.
Just for a moment, imagine that I'm Tracy. What would you like to say to me?
I don't know, I thought about that a lot, and I would just want to ask her why she destroyed my life and my family. She took everything from me.
Perhaps Celeste's only solace is that her daughters have a secure future.
Did they eventually inherit a lot of money?
Yes, millions.
Millions.
Which I would have given them anyway. I mean,
So I guess Stephen fulfilled his part of the deal, and Celeste finally got what she wanted for her daughters.
That I love my children and I forgive them.
You forgive them. Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
That I'm sorry that I wasn't the mother they needed.
During our entire conversation, this is the only time Celeste shows any emotion. I think she gave her daughters what she wanted instead of what they needed. To this day, Celeste denies all charges. She does admit she married for money, but did she kill to keep it? The jury says yes, but only Celeste knows the truth. Maybe that old saying is true. When you marry for money, you earn every penny.